third down stops, we had the fourth down stop. Guys in position, just gotta make the play. We had miscommunication on one of those, which just was so frustrating because the exact same happened earlier in the game, and it was executed properly, and they got off the field because of it, and that was my challenge to our guys. It was like, critical times we got to communicate. Critical times we got to execute, and to me that's what kind of, if I had to say a theme from the game, that was what it was. And you can do a lot of great things, but if you don't execute in those critical times, it's going to cost you. And that was the reality of it all. And at the end of the day, I got to take responsibility for that. And I'm so proud of how they played so hard. And that's obvious. But you still got to. You got to find a way, and for us, we got to give ourselves a chance to win the game. So that final drive, we got to find a way to get a stop, force a field goal at minimum, make it an 8-point game, give our offense a chance to go and tie it up into overtime. So just so frustrating that we weren't able to finish and give our offense a chance. It does, but I think to me it's about preparing to, practicing to, mindset of what's the standard. And understanding what that is. I think we had a really good, opportunity yesterday to talk about that as a unit. Some of the players mentioned it after practice to the team, and I think that's a great thing. We got a lot of character, a lot of leadership on this team, and these guys understand that they're playing for a lot because of who they represent and this program, and wanting to be able to continue to improve and continue to play at an elite level, as our goal to play at that level. And so even though we've fallen short of that, throughout this season. So, but to me, it's a testament to who you are, both as a coach and as a player, is that your ability to weather the adversities that you face, whether they're self-created or whether they're come from outside, and it doesn't really matter where they come from. It's how you respond to it. So I think that's the focus, and that's what's going to be the continued focus. And I thought last night, man, our guys, we got an awesome group of young men that had great energy and great focus and practiced hard last night. But I wasn't surprised. That's how we've been. I do think once we kind of got through the shock of the first few games and kind of how that kind of unfolded a little bit, I think our guys have responded well, and we just got to play at a consistently high level. And I think it's reality, okay? And so that's where you gotta, find ways to help those guys, because man coverage is man coverage, and you got to be able to disguise it, but it's also, it's what it says. It's my man, I'm covering you. It's one-on-one, and so I have to be able to, got to win those one-on-ones, and so to me that's a real area of focus, and it definitely can hinder you when you don't have that ability to do it like you want to be able to do it, and it can hinder what you're able to do structurally and schematically. And so that's definitely a major priority for us in this offseason, to be able to address that and be able to help us in that area, because to me it's really about the more you can do that, the more creative you can be, and the more things you can do, it allows you to be able to be the defense that I envision us becoming. I mean, to me, there's, no magic in me being on the field or in the press box. I do think that it was a positive thing, without question. And there's no question for me, I love being on the field. I had to kind of talk myself into going up there a year ago, and then I felt like it was very positive for a variety of reasons, and so that's why I chose to stay up there, because of different things that we use now with technology and the different things we have and the communication and all that. So, but I love being on the field. I've been on the field most of my career and feel very comfortable down there. I love being in there with the guys, and I feel more emotionally connected with them, and I also think it helps me, because I do think we're not a just oozing with confidence defense, and so that's where I kind of, looking back and said, maybe I should have been down there earlier just because of that, So, but at the same time, you kind of go through different things, and I made a decision, and you got to live with that. But I'm glad I came back down, and I think it's where I need to be, and it's where I'm going to stay. And I just feel like just being able to look them in the eye and being able to just totally be right there with them and make those adjustments face to face instead of on the headset is very important. Man, I just want fast, hungry guys that love the game. That's what I'm looking for. You got to be able to run. This game is played in space. It's what it is. This conference is coached in space. The offenses we play, a lot of elite quarterbacks in this conference. The game is played. Different conferences have different personalities. This league is a very wide open league, and it's you got to have speed. And you got to be able to play with those kind of guys. And so that's a priority. Just tough guys that love football. To me, that's just the toughness piece is what I'm looking for. Just a guy, and when you watch him practice and you watch his film, it's just it oozes from his film. and you watch them compete in other sports. I think those are critical things, competitive guys. That's why one of my first questions I asked was, hey, what other sports does he play? I love guys that play multiple sports. I think it's just a competitive edge you have, a competitive mindset you have when you do things in a different setting is very important. And I think, even like you talk about how do you tell if a guy's tough, there's just certain things you look for when you see him and when you go watch him play in person or you watch him do this or watch him do that. And so, and then just loving the game. I mean, there's a difficult, we ask our guys to do a lot of hard things, in this sport, and it's very, challenging, mentally and physically. And so you got to love it. You really do. Man, I love this team. I love our group, and we're going to fight to the finish. I promise you that.